Did you ever wish you could get inside the head of a professional trader and understand why he does what he does? And with that professional trader explaining his thought process in detail with real trade examples that trader made. Well, in this video, you get the unusual and eye-opening opportunity to do this. Bar by bar, SMB trader Justin Spiro breaks down some trades he took while sharing his exact thought process. I'm Mike Bellafiore, and we're one of the top proprietary trading firms located in New York City and proud to develop numerous 7 and even 8-figure per year traders. We hope you agree this bar by bar series offers you a glimpse into how professional traders think through trades to help you grow your trading account.
In this video, you'll gain insights into trading a backside setup on a highly volatile and significantly overextended stock. Furthermore, you'll be educated on effectively managing and trading a second day backside to capitalize on that trend reversal. Additionally, a fundamental principle known as price action is king will be discussed when we go over NVIDIA from earnings day. This principle involves addressing situations where a stock's trading behavior deviates from your expectations and will outline the strategy of adjusting your initial plan and reversing your perspective to take advantage of the other side of the trade, even if your initial intention was to only go long or short. Today we're going to go over 3 trades. 2 of them are backside trades in VFS, and another we're going to go over is NVIDIA from earnings day 1. VFS is a Vietnamese electric vehicle startup which has soared about 700% since its debut in a SPAC listing. It's an unprofitable company with a $600 million net loss, and it had a larger market cap than Goldman Sachs, Disney, and many more companies. In addition, at the peak, when it touched 92, options began trading, which could often mark a short-term top for a runner. So now we're going to look at day 1, 93, where it topped out. We have a series of failed follow through new highs, and then you could see that it wicks the pre-market high at 93 and then fails. But ultimately, it's just trading in a range on this day and it's a wide range between about $80 and $90. The next day, it gaps under day 1's low. And it's the first time since the run started that the stock is taking out the previous day's low. So that's a break in the longer term trend. And if we look at the daily, we can just see that real quick. Never gets below the prior day's low. However, on this day that it tops out, the next day we come in and it's gapping below day 1 low. So we have a break in the higher time frame trend. So in the morning, I just mark off that pre-market resistance area, which is around $75. And then I also mark off this pre-market low here at $68.85. So off the open, it pops up into that pre-market resistance area at 75, and it fails, and it breaks back through the opening price. So that's where I start my short position, and we call that a back through open. And that's followed up with an opening drive lower on extremely high volume. This is the second highest volume bar since the run up. So that shows to me that there's real selling and a real failure from a resistance area. Following that, it immediately pops up into 73 and it stops right at 73, and there's a big offer there. So I add to my short position and it makes new lows and it breaks the pre-market low here. And that's another add. By this time, I have a stop on this position at high of day. Now, I have a wide stop, but a day 1 backside often calls for a high of day stop because you're expecting a big backside move, and you want to give yourself the best chances to catch that. So following this, the stock pops up into VWAP, and ideally, they fail right from VWAP and you can continue adding. But in this case, it got over VWAP a little bit and then failed from this mini uptrend that you see here. And ultimately, the stock puts in a lower high. As it fails from VWAP and begins consolidating, you'll notice that it's holding below these EMAs and it's consolidating right at that pre-market low level. It's holding below VWAP. And this is another add for me, right in this consolidation here. Once low of day starts to break, that is another ad. And that's our last ad. And we end up having an accelerated move to the downside, which results in a nice 7-point move before momentum starts to slow. At this point, it's struggling to hold over 60. So you can see it dips into 57.50, pops up into 60, and it starts to fail more. But before that, like when this momentum comes in through low of day, that's a really big, like 6 or 7 point move. And I want to be covering some of my position into this fast momentum to the downside. At this point, the stock is struggling to hold over $60. It's holding below our EMAs and it's holding lower. And we get another flush as it fails from 60 down to 53.50. And I noticed that it's holding 53.50. It's holding, and then it's holding again, and it's bouncing off that. And ultimately, this downtrend here starts to break. And I just cover my position. I didn't do anything with it after this, but ultimately we could say that the backside is in. And now on the second day, I'm going to look for a continuation of the trend. So in the morning, I'm starting to mark off potential resistance areas in case it pops up off the open. And one really obvious level here is this 57 level where it held, broke, traded into, and failed. So this is an interesting area for me for a potential short if it fails from there. Off the open, what do you know? It pops up into that 57 area and it fails to get back through the open for a starter short. It holds the lows, which isn't ideal, but that's okay because my stop is high of day. And then, it pops up into VWAP, puts in a lower high, and then fails from VWAP. So a very similar pattern to day one. And this is the ad here. And as it breaks low of day, this is another ad. So at this point, I'm in my full position, and it's consolidating at lows. And it's holding below the EMAs, it's holding below the opening range, and I just need to be patient and wait for momentum to the downside. As we break lows at 48, I hit into a momentum ad, and you can see we get a pretty quick move down through 45, and then it reclaims 45, and I begin to take profits on the position, and at this point, I have about 20% left in my position. The stock drops down to new lows and then quickly reclaims. So essentially what we have is a failed follow through new low, and I close my position out. And I just want to mention that in both of these trades from day one and day two, I did not capture the whole entire move. Late in the afternoon, the stock continued to sell off both days. There's a common misconception that new traders face, which is that they're always selling or covering too early and they miss out. But the truth is, we'll rarely cover the bottom and we'll rarely sell the top on a long position. It's all about the process and system that you have in place for these trades. We don't need to capture the full move to be successful traders. We just need to capture pieces and follow our process for these setups. So this brings us into our next trade, which is NVIDIA from the earnings day. So I want to go over this trade I put on this day because recently I had a newer trader that said they rated the earnings catalyst a 9 out of 10 and the stock was hitting all-time highs, so they were very bullish on it, which I think is fair and correct. However, they were too focused on the long and trying to get long due to that. However, price action just did not agree. And it's always important to remember that price action is king no matter what your thesis is. And intraday action on NVIDIA told me that this was not a long. NVIDIA had great earnings, and I had many different plans to go long and different if-then statements in my morning game plan to trade this long. But I also said if it's holding under the after-hours swing low at 495, something may be wrong, and I do not think that it's a long trade anymore. So you could see NVIDIA reported earnings, hit new all-time highs at $520, and then pulled into this 495 area and bounced. So I thought that if the stock was holding below this area, then it probably wasn't a long. Off the open, there's an opening drive lower below that after hours swing low. at 495, and now it's holding below VWAP, and that 495 level is acting as resistance, and 490 is acting as support. You can see that here. It's just consolidating, and it's holding below the EMAs. Now, I thought this would be a great long, and I game planned for different long scenarios, but I also game planned that if it's holding below this 495, it's not a long. So I'm watching 490, and as it breaks, I take a momentum short. Just a very, very clear tape trade for me. And I'm just reacting to the price action and what the stock is showing me. So it's holding 490. That after hours swing low is acting as resistance. It's holding below VWAP, and it's holding below the EMAs. So as soon as I see 490 drop, I take the short, and that really just results in a very quick 6-7 point move lower. And as the momentum slows down into 482, I'm just covering that. It's just a quick momentum trade based on a break of support, and I'm capturing that move. Now, by around 11, NVIDIA has filled its gap, and I just don't see much to do with it. But I just keep it on the radar, and around 1 o'clock, I see it bounce above VWAP, and it's really struggling to hold VWAP. It's just chopping around. And it's the middle of the afternoon. There's really nothing to do with it. But around 2:30, this is where trade 2 happens. Now, a question I get often is about afternoon trades into the close. If I'm trading into the close, which I would just define as 2:30 onwards, I'm always just looking for stocks with high RVOL, and I'm looking for momentum in the direction of the trend that last hour and a half or so. So, the stock tries to reclaim VWAP, and it's struggling to hold above VWAP, and it starts to fail from VWAP. And, you also see kind of like a series of lower highs above VWAP. And in addition, the Qs are holding near lows. So I have the tailwinds from the overall market at my back, which is a good check in favor. And NVIDIA begins to hold below the 9 EMA, pretty clean, which is very different from what we saw the past hour and a half or so. So I enter a short right in this area here. And my risk is simply if it starts to hold back above VWAP, I'll get out of this position. And then ultimately, I just ride this trend and cover slowly as the stock moves lower. And you can see that it's trending very well. It's just holding below that 9 EMA. You can see that 9 EMA acts as resistance. And we get a nice move into low of day. But no real momentum comes through into low of day. And you could see that around 350, the stock breaks that downtrend. And I'm just covering my position.
So you're an active trader, not doing as well as you want, not doing as well as you deserve, and you just can't figure out why you can't become profitable no matter how hard you try. Well, let me show you why. This is your competition. The traders in this room. This room right here is full of elite traders, some of whom are making 7 and even 8 figures a year. In fact, our top guys have made nearly 20 million each in net trading profits in a single year. Let's head to my office so I can share more. So you're probably used to seeing videos of lavish trader lifestyles, trading gurus, trading off of a laptop for an hour a day, heck, maybe even 15 minutes a day, and then them relaxing on some secluded beach for the rest of the day. Well, all I can tell you is that our traders train like pro athletes. They live and breathe the markets and are continually working on their trading skills. Because at our firm, that's what we found it really takes to make it in this game. I'm Mike Bellafiore, co-founder and managing partner of SMB Capital, one of the world's top proprietary trading firms located in Midtown Manhattan. And we're always looking for trading talent to hire and develop. And not just to trade in-house on our desk, but also to trade from their own home, entirely using our firm's capital. And we have numerous traders doing just that, allowing them to make upwards of 7 figures trading the firm's capital without risking their own money. But to even get a shot at something like that, you need to have the right training. That's why we're doing a new free online presentation in which we share how you can get an interview with SMB to become an in-house or remote trader, trading firm capital without risking yours and gaining access to all of our firm's coaching and resources. And the best part? You don't have to be a profitable trader yet. In fact, we prefer to mold profitable traders with our methods and our techniques. That's why we have just 3 simple criteria that can earn anyone an interview. We're looking for highly ambitious and determined traders who fit our culture first and foremost. So if you believe that could be you, sign up for the free 1-hour online presentation by clicking the link that's in your top right corner of your screen now.